What is going on, everybody? Chris here. Welcome back to another full self-driving video. We are on the latest update 14.1.4, and we have been getting an update for FSD ever since version 14 dropped every 3 or 4 days. And within the last couple of versions, 14.1.2 started going to slightly more people, and then 14.1.3 started going to a lot of people. So not everybody has it, but many people are now on 14.1.3 and also getting 14.1.4. Moving over nicely for that cyclist there, really nice. So I wanted to start back here on the dirt roads with you in Mad Max mode because this is what I've been doing, and I've really been enjoying dirt road driving, especially in Mad Max. Now, version 13 was also able to do the dirt roads here, so we have some pedestrians coming up. I would slow down a little bit just to be a little more courteous to them and move over, but hey, handled nicely. Giving us a nice wave there. They don't seem mad. I always try to judge people's faces to see if they think the car is wrong or bad, and those two seemed like they didn't care, so it should be all good. Version 13 could do the dirt roads, but it was very slow, even in hurry mode, and just not really usable. So I usually would drive the dirt roads myself just to get off of them quickly. I usually like to go about 40 on these roads in the good visibility areas anyway. As you can see, FSD is doing that right now. And then I would put on FSD as I was finishing up with the dirt roads. But now I'm using even version 14, even on the dirt roads, I should say, just constantly because it's so nice. And I thought you guys might like to see the colors as well, because the trees are looking really good. Actually, let's turn it down a little bit. So that's what Mad Max does on the dirt roads. Let's turn it down to chill and see what chill does, just so we can kind of get that comparison as we talk about these updates here. So lots of updates over the version 14 release as it's kind of started coming to us, but not a whole lot of changes. So the first version, version 14, 14.1 that the early access testers got was getting what I was calling brake stabbing. That was really my only thing for me that I was noticing was like a negative. And it was mostly happening at intersections or if you had a pedestrian close to the road, and the car would just get really hesitant and it would hit the brakes hard, rapidly, like maybe 4 or 5 brakes a second, as it kind of figured out if it wanted to go or not. And it was just this extreme hesitation, very uncomfortable. Well, then 14.1.1 came out, and I didn't see it pretty much at all. I saw like no brake stabbing, and I was like, okay, I said it was addressed. I didn't say it was fixed because some of these things you have to drive a lot of miles to really be able to find. And on that version, I did end up experiencing brake stabbing one time. Then we got 14.1.2. It seemed pretty much the same to me. 14.1.3 came out, and it was worse for me. Now, the braking wasn't as harsh, so it wasn't this violent like stab of the brakes, but you'd get up to an intersection and you get this kind of hesitation where it would hit the brakes, still rapidly, but it was a much smoother, kind of application of the brakes on and off, if that makes sense. And I was like, man, this is, for me, I don't know what everyone's experiencing as a whole, but for me, this is way worse than the other versions we've had because it's happening more frequently, although the braking is not as, violent. It's not as rapid and stabby. Or it's as rapid, but it's not as intense, I should say. And then Tesla rolls it wide to everyone. So I just thought it was funny because people comment, they're like, oh man, you said that this was bad. Tesla's never gonna roll it wide. Now we gotta wait for another update. Well, number one, we've been getting updates every, day or two, or every 3 or 4 days. And number two, they do roll it out whenever they want. We don't know exactly how or why they do that, bumping it up to standard here. But they were able to roll that out to us. So I thought that was pretty funny. And now we have 14.1.4. I'm gonna stop us right here. And I don't know exactly, let's just let it keep going. I don't know exactly what's been changed. The release notes have not been changing with these updates. The one thing that people have seen, I haven't seen it myself yet, on 14.1.3 is you're getting the little mini windshield wiper cleaning like this just on the cameras that we saw with Robotaxi. That's actually been in the release notes in the release notes. That's actually been in the release notes. My goodness, early morning. Since 14.1, but no one's seen it until 14.1.3. So anyway, we're now on 14.1.4. We're gonna see if the brake stabbing is gone. It might be hard for us to find it, but let's try to figure it out. So I'm gonna skip ahead here to the downtown because this is all just a boring straight road and there's not really gonna be anything to interact with. So I will catch up with you when we get to downtown. All right, so here we go. We are heading into downtown now. Nothing exciting happened on the way here. We had one stop sign and it was perfect. There was no brake stabbing or anything. So that is good to see. And we're going to do stop signs here a few times. And you're not waiting for that person. That's pretty assertive there. And I don't really mind at these different destinations letting the car park, because everything with it is so fluid and quick that I don't mind letting it happen and then just continuing the drive. Whereas in older versions, transitioning between these different states and doing all this stuff, so there is a spot here, just there was so much kind of delay that I just wanted to exit the current destination and let the car continue. Also, along with that, version 13 didn't have this ability to park every time. Now we would see how fast I can just click that and it keeps going. Now we would see version 13 occasionally park at destinations, but for me personally, it was happening, I don't know, maybe 10% or 20% of the time. It was pretty rare. It was very cool when it did happen. Man, they're redoing all that stuff. Maybe we can try to interact with this somehow. It says closed to through traffic, but you know, for testing purposes, I'm sure they'd understand. But so version 13, you know, the parking was it usually would just pull up to the door for you. Now you do in version 14, of course, have the parking options here. So this says parking lot, charger. It felt like that was a little close to that truck, but obviously I didn't touch it, so not too close. Or you can do curbside, which I actually tested that for the first time yesterday, and it worked really well. It pulled me right up to the door. We navigated to a Kroger grocery store and pulled up right to the door, parked right where you would expect a curbside parking to be, and it worked great. So, there's some braking for you there, but there was a pedestrian. So that was really interesting. That pedestrian was walking towards us. The car hit the brakes on and off just barely a couple of times, but it felt much better than any brake stabbing I've experienced before. So we'll get so already I can tell you, it feels better, but it's still barely there. This feels so much better. Now let's see here. We're going to the police station because before we parked in this, restricted parking, and there's actually a cop sitting in his cop car there. Oh, okay, so we're just gonna wiggle the wheel around and have the cop be all suspicious of us. That is great. So it didn't park in the restricted parking. I did turn the turn signal off, but I found that doesn't usually affect decisions if you're messing with the turn signal. So this time we didn't go in the restricted parking of the police station. Last time I actually intervened because it was going to park where it said no parking, police officers only, and I didn't want to get tackled, and arrested for them thinking I was doing something suspicious. So we're in reverse here with a pedestrian behind us, and we're going to wait for, there's several pedestrians. We're going to wait for them. They're kind of hard to see even in the screen because the sun is on the screen and kind of making it a little bright, but the car is doing okay there with seeing and waiting for them. Sorry if the screen is a little today. It's we got a low sun because we're doing this early Sunday morning, but that's all right. So I have several destinations in here to get us through stuff that has been messed up before. Especially I've added a lot of stop signs because I just realized I'm holding this coffee. I wonder if this guy's gonna pull me over and be like, excuse me, why don't you have any hands on the wheel? He's sitting in his cruiser there. I'm going through a lot of stop signs because I really want to see if we can find the brake stabbing. So let me continue on that a little bit. The couple of experiences we had so far already felt better in that the car still kind of went back and forth on its decision of should we go or not, but it seemed to make the decision faster. So the amount of times it could hit the brake, the frequency of brake hitting per unit of time, sorry, this is getting a little weird, seemed the same, but it didn't last as long. So if it was hitting the brakes 5 seconds, 5 times a second before, it was doing that for 1 second. Now it seems like it had the same pace, but only for half a second, if that makes sense. So now we have parking lot selected and it's choosing street parking, which is fine. This is all parking here. It's all good. There's lots of cars parked here. Like I said, it is Sunday morning. So so far this actually feels really good. So navigation is telling us to actually turn around, which the car is not gonna whip a U-ey in the middle of the road. It's just gonna find a new route here. So really nice to see that. So far, this has felt really smooth, really nice, which version 14 overall has felt great. It's just, for me, the only complaint I have really is that rapid use of the brakes and the indecision you get at some of these intersections. And, people will see one clip that I post and they're like, it's because this was at that intersection or this was at that intersection. The thing I want you guys to understand is all types. That may be true for that one specific clip I post, but I'm experiencing it in all types of scenarios. So I'll go to an empty intersection with, you know, stop signs, no other vehicles, no pedestrians, nothing, and the car will do some brake stabbing. The next time it won't do it. I'll go through an intersection, you know, that has a car there, and it'll do the brake stabbing. And yeah, probably because it thought that car was going to cut us off or something. There'll be no cars and a pedestrian, and it'll do it. So I'm seeing it in all scenarios. And in any one specific scenario, you can point to it. And man, look at that tree. You can point to what's happening in that scenario and say, oh, this is why it was doing the brake stabbing. You're right in that, and I think that it's pretty clear as to why it's happening if you analyze each time it happens. The problem is, in those same scenarios with version 14, or version 13, my apologies, you didn't get anything like that. You didn't get this hesitation. You didn't get it applying the brakes on and off. Now, sometimes it would start to go and then stop because the person started moving or it was unsure, but this is something that was uniquely happening with version 14, where it just like do on the brakes. So once that's gone, I mean, this is going to be so amazing. So boom, we're parking again. I'm kind of curious. It looks like it's over the line, and it's barely just touching the line there. I think I'm okay with that. You can let me know if you think that's a bad parking job or not. The other thing I want to point out, which is interesting, is I'm not sure if it said it on the screen much this morning, but Tesla vehicles use AT&T for their cellular connectivity, and pretty much all of where we are right now, downtown Fenton, where are we going next? Oh, this is a little residential area. We used to go in there in older versions because it would mess up. Most of downtown Fenton is like a dead zone for AT&T, and like dead. Like you can't barely send a text down here. It's crazy. So the car is doing all of this when we're in downtown Fenton with mostly no connectivity. So that's always good to note as well. So okay. So cross traffic doesn't stop here. That felt good. That felt good. Hopefully you can see the cars to the left. We had to make our complete stop to 0. We started to creep, and I think if the car would have just went through, it would have been fine. But it started to creep and then slowed back down to like double check that there wasn't any cross traffic. But it felt fine. It wasn't a hard brake. It wasn't like on off of the brakes. And then as soon as it saw those cars approaching, it fully slowed to a stop. That example felt really good, and it's a spot where, again, I would feel like brake stabbing would have happened before. Whoa, okay. Oh my goodness, what is this? I was like, are we pulling someone's driveway here? I had no idea what was going on here. But this is technically some kind of road or driveway for this church or whatever we're doing here. And it is a parking lot, and there are lines, but they're super faded. Like I think we're driving over some of the lines right now. So there are lines over here, and it's gonna park us. Wow. I mean, for what we're working with here, not a bad park job. So you can see these lines here are not bad, but the rest of the parking lot, you can't really see anything. Boom, we'll just get started immediately, moving into reverse. It's, man, the swiftness of the way that this software now works. It's one of those things that, like, maybe you could have picked up on it in older versions where you're kind of like, well, I hit the button, are you going to go? And then it goes a few seconds later, like, oh, okay, whatever. But comparing this to version 13, the swiftness with the way that this software starts up, reacts, transitions to its next, objective, changes what it's doing based on the route is so nice. It's unbelievable. I wouldn't have picked up on that without experiencing it, and it's great. So we got our green here. This guy is still moving towards us, and we're stopping. So this, again, it has that hesitancy in there, but it's not on-off on the brakes. So I'll call it an improvement. And, I go back and forth because there's not a brick wall there, keeping us safe from cars driving into us. But it was obvious to me he was stopping, right? Even though that other vehicle was still moving towards us. Let's see here. We're going to get good response to this. This is usually an interesting one because you got to come around the bend. You can't see it. There's been some hard braking at this light before. So that at that last light where we're doing the left turn, we had a green light. It's our right of way. We can go. That doesn't mean someone isn't going to blast through their red. That happens all the time and hit you. but it's like FSD is a little too worried about it. Hope that makes sense. And it's interesting because there's going to be some people who are like, nah, that was the right thing. Like, people go through red lights all the time. It saved your life. And there's going to be the exact opposite crowd that's like, this software is stupid. It had the green light. What's it waiting for? And the real answer, as usual, is somewhere in the middle, right? I think it was a little too hesitant there, but I see why it was. And I don't fully fault it, but it just seemed a little silly to me. So where we're heading now is the roundabout, which we test. And we're going to the barn, which it's still doing this weird thing. So the reason I picked this route, you can see here, we should be going to the parking lot here. That's actually part of our destination. And it keeps routing us to this parking lot here. So I'm gonna put it on curbside just to see if that changes something. So there you go, it actually did change the route. But what's interesting here is last time I came here, I think with Stephanie, in a video, it had this exact same nav kind of point. I'm looking at the screen, so it's wanting me to touch the wheel. And it had this exact same nav point, but it still took us into the wrong parking lot. So, you know, not the end of the world. It's just a weird fluke. But with older versions, it never had this issue. It always went to the correct parking lot. It just didn't have its parking ability. So I'm not sure what changed here. So here's the roundabout. Pretty simple. We'll go back fully through it. And it is taking us to the correct destination here. So pretty interesting. Now, what if I change this in the middle of it doing its thing from curbside to parking lot? Let's see what it will do here. And it actually did change. It did change its nav to go into that other parking lot. So is it going to take us out of here into the wrong parking lot, or because it's already in here, I mean, it should just park in one of these spots here. Okay, so it's just, there's something weird. There's something weird with the navigation or software where it wants to take you to the wrong spot if you have parking lot, but it takes you to the correct spot if you have curbside. I don't know. I have no idea. Let's continue here. And where are we going next? Well, I can't check while we're in reverse, so this next one I might have to do a couple little rapid changes of the nav. That front camera is dirty. So let's see here. I'm still getting a low washer fluid. Tesla, I was just in there for my seat squeak and you didn't give me any washer fluid. What's going on here? You said you were going to do it. All right, so we're turning right here. It's hard to see because of that tree. This is way too hesitant. There's nobody there. What are you waiting for? I'm actually going to report that. That waited so long for nothing. And with this now, we're going to be driving directly into the sun. Well, almost, which is what I wanted for this too. So let's see here. Really nice job all the way around the roundabout. It hasn't been a problem in a long time, but you never know. You never know if there's regression, so we got to keep checking it. So I'm trying to mess with our route here, and the internet is screwing me up. Don't turn left. Please don't turn left. I don't actually want you to. Yeah, let's go. Look how fast it can change its mind. So I added that route, I added that destination to the top, and it was like, oh, we need to turn left here. I moved it to the bottom. And it goes, oh, never mind, we're gonna go straight. So we've been driving into the sun here for a couple of minutes and no issues with that. I know with my new editing, you can't really see my windshield anymore, but it's, we cleaned it off. Stephanie cleaned it off for me because she's really good at that. And there's still film on it. It's just from it being a new car. You can kind of tell here. So I'm going to, oh, this is actually a business, the Bear Skin Collective. I don't know what that is. I just needed to get to this destination here. So here, let's see if it's in the middle of parking and I get rid of that. Remember, it kind of gets stuck wanting to park. And yeah, so it's going to park. I did that a little late, but that's all right. So it's going to park here. It's really pulling up. And there you go. So we'll just start it up again immediately. And then as we turn here, I should be taking us through that little tiny bit of construction. And then we're doing the stop sign one more time just to check that we don't get any brake stabbing. But so far I haven't felt the brake stabbing or the rapid on-off braking yet. So this is a pretty steep little exit ramp here, whatever I'm saying. And we're waiting for some traffic, but the car is handling it really well. All right, guys, enough. There's just the perfect amount of vehicles that we have to wait for nobody, but then someone else comes up. All right, so as soon as we make this right turn, oh, got a phantom wipe there. That's been pretty rare too. And I've heard from you guys as well that you're not getting so many dry wipes. This turn is like pretty much a 180 we have to do. That's why I like to add it. It might be closed up there from what I can see. So there's some weird hesitation there. It wasn't sure about its turn. Oh yeah, it's changing the nav and everything. So I changed that a little too soon. So let's see. It looks to me like this is closed off. Yeah, it is. So let's see what the car does here. Yep, it rerouted. It rerouted. So it looked at that situation and said, oh, I can't do that. Holy moly, that's smart. Oh my goodness. And it fully rerouted around that. So I didn't even know that road was closed. That's something I had no idea. I just wanted to do that 180 turn. FSD is able to get into position, look at that. At the same time that I say, oh, I'm not sure, this might be closed, the car realizes that as well. And the crazy thing about that is in the past, when you got these like last minute route changes, it would really freak the car out. It would do weird stuff with the steering wheel. It would like turn when it shouldn't. It was able to just kind of pause, assess the situation, say, okay, there's some cars coming up, let's not move. And then as soon as it was clear, all right, let's take this new navigation that I've kind of set up for us. Very impressive. And you know, that's the kind of stuff you need for a robotaxi, because if you want no steering wheel and pedals or nobody here able to do anything, if you want the car driving around with no humans in it, you need that type of capability. And they have one more vehicle here. I'm sure it's going to start kind of slow rolling it as they're in front of us. Boom, there it moves and it's off. No stabbing, nothing. Felt really good. Everything about that was perfect. Everything about that was so perfect. So this road that it's turning onto now might also be closed. I couldn't tell. I think maybe you can drive onto it, but the pavement's gone and it's like dirt. So I honestly am not sure, but I'm just gonna, yeah, it says closed to through traffic. Yeah, so the car's like, oh, we can't do that either. Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. It is determined to get there though. Let's see what happens. There's nobody working, so, and I live there. That's where I live, so I need to get home. Yeah, the car is, and this is gonna be closed. Yep, so it, all right, cool. It's just gonna keep trying. It's just gonna keep trying. That's pretty cool. Let's get that out of here. Let's get our last destination in because I wanna go through the stop signs again. So, I don't know, the nav says to go right, but somehow the car knew not to go that way because that's the closed road area. So if we would have turned right there, I don't know, it would have turned, I don't know, it didn't do it. I'm not sure why it didn't. I didn't see any indication to not go that direction, and the car kind of pieced together that that was the closed road. Really nice here on that steep uphill. Wow, awesome, awesome, awesome. So this is a weird one because cross traffic doesn't stop, but you cannot see to the left. I can't see to the left because there's like a mound, a little hill in the way. So now I can see. I could not see before we got to that point. And the car did a great job creeping all the way up to where it could see. And you know, the B-pillar cameras, they're farther back than me, but they're also higher up than my head. So they may have been able to see that whole time. And I'm sure the roof cam could see just fine. But from my position, I could not see to the left there. Again, cross traffic doesn't stop, but the car in front of us does have a stop sign. They're turning left anyway. Beautiful, no hesitation, nothing. That felt great. It felt really, really good. And then I don't actually want to, well, let's just see what happens. I'll let it park here because I want to get my camera off the roof. But let's finish up this drive. Overall, I would say it felt really good. It felt great. Standard, it felt great. Standard mode is really nice. I didn't see any really brake stabbing. The hesitation is still there where the car's kind of second guessing the situation. So here we go. We got a couple of vehicles to interact with here. Should still be easy. But again, the intersection can be empty and it can do it. So that felt really good. Yeah, so I still felt the hesitation, but I would say that it's handled better than it has been before. And these are parking spots that we actually can park in. So yeah, a little bit of weirdness with the steering wheel there. It's just kind of adjusting to get in the spot correctly. You know, that kind of stuff, who cares? Like, if it gets in the spot correctly, You couldn't even feel the car moving. Just the steering wheel had a little adjustment in the middle. So overall, really nice drive and felt great. Hope you enjoyed. You'll see me in the next video.